Hopefully we are live. Stuff is moving, sound levels appear to be working. Right, so a late night laid back stream. The plan is to upgrade the VR gaming PC, as hopefully the title of the stream suggests. So today we're I switch views, hopefully this works. I've got a camera pointed at the VR gaming rig, and we currently have installed the AMD 7800 X3D, and we're going to swap in the new, well, launched November, so 2 months new, 9800 X3D. The reason being is we've got the NVIDIA 5000 series GPUs due out end of the month, so I'm probably going to upgrade the 4090, which I got at launch, for the 5090. And this is the CPU is currently the fastest one for gaming and should give me a bit of a uplift in the CPU front, so reduce any potential CPU bottlenecks we may get. So the plan is today, once I've swapped this in, is to do a couple of benchmarks. Well, actually what I'll do, I'm going to do a couple of benchmarks before with 3D Mark, and then we'll do a quick 2D benchmark on F124, because that can be CPU constrained and likes the 3D cache, and maybe a quick run on DCS, because that's a popular one and there's often not very many benchmarks. So yeah, that's the plan. Pretty laid back. So a couple of benchmarks as is. I had to swap the power supply over because previously I was using an 850 watt in this rig, and the streaming PC, which is giving you the stream at the minute, this used to have that power supply in, which is a 1200 watts. So I've switched them round because the 5090 is, I think it's 575 watt up to 600 you can clock it up to, so it's recommended 1000 watts if you want to go to a 5090. The 9800 X3D is the same power rating as the 7800, which is total TDP of 120 watt. And obviously if you've got more peripherals installed, like I've got a few SATA drives and all of the M.2 bays are full, and I've got a Noctua big air cooler here, so air cooler setup. It's a bit of a Millennium Falcon build, so it's not that pretty, but it's an old case that I've had for many years, had a lot of use out of it, and it's got fairly decent airflow. So I've got two fans at the front pulling in, and then just one on the rear. I may stick another one on the top to get the heat out, but we actually don't need it. So we'll look at the thermals. This has been so far really good thermal wise, but we'll see. And maybe I'll look to swap this connector out, because this is the one that came with the 4090 out of the box, but it works, so if it ain't broke, no need to fix it. Holding down sock. Hello. Hello, Eraser. So, the other thing to mention is I got the 4090 at launch, which I think was about 2 years ago. I'll have to check. So I tend to get the big ticket items as soon as they're available, and then sell them as soon as possible. So there's still good money on the 4090 at the minute, and I don't think we'll have to see when the benchmarks come out, because I think it's the 24th of this month the first lots of 5090 benchmarks will be available, and I'm interested in the raw performance. DLSS generally for VR sucks, so I'm not that bothered about it, and unless of course in the coming future DLSS 4.0 is better quality, which it should be, then we might use it more. In which case, the boost in AI speed will be useful, but it's mainly the rasterization performance, which I don't think is going to be that much of a jump. I'm hoping for 25 to 30% of a jump year on year, but card generation and generation. The 4090 jump from the 3090 was massive in terms of rasterization performance. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near that, but we'll see. And the 7800 X3D CPU here has actually been really good, and I've had that since launch, I think it's April 2023. So it's coming up to 2 years old actually, and since I bought this has actually gone up in value. I paid £450 and now they're £475. So I should be able to get good money for this on eBay. And I got a really good price on this via, it's sold by fulfilled by Scan UK, but sold on Amazon. It's actually cheaper to buy this on Amazon. So if you're in the UK and you want the best price on this, I don't know if it's still the case, but this was it was cheaper to get this via Amazon from Scan. And I also had some Amazon gift voucher stuff, so this brought this down really cheap. So hopefully this will be a really cheap upgrade of about, well, depending on how much I get for this on eBay, like £100 upgrade. And from the benchmarks that I've seen so far on Hardware Unboxed, it should be about an average of 11% CPU FPS boost, up to 11%, performance boost, obviously in FPS, up to 20% in certain games. So we'll see. I don't think I'll have time to do full VR benchmarks. I might do some later in the week, but it won't be before and after comparisons. Hello, it's up to my VR a decade ago when people said VR would die. Yeah, it's still going old timer. Yeah, it's quite an old channel, niche, and I don't actually. I'm very irregular with my content, which doesn't help. But the benchmark stuff seems to be popular, and also when I get the 5090, I might do some proper 4090, 5090 comparisons again for VR titles, as people seem to like them. But this, I thought I'd just do a live stream because I don't know who would actually watch it and who's that interested in the upgrade. I'm just looking to see where's my logo gone. I've been mucking around with my stream. I was looking for my little watermark in the top right hand corner. Oh, it's because this webcam is up there. If I lower this down, there you go. Confusing. So yeah, I'll quickly just restart the computer, we'll check out the temperatures, and I'll quickly show you the BIOS, and then I'll get myself a cold drink. If you've got any questions, I'll try and answer them when I spot them. I've got text-to-speech on as well. Right, let's reboot. Hopefully you can see the BIOS. So I've got the BIOS info just here in front of me, but hopefully actually I don't need to reboot, I'm on the BIOS already. I can just flick to this so I've got this set up correctly. That one. Oh, there you go. All right. So if you're new to AMD, or if you're an Intel person, you'll probably know if you've built your own. Intel has the XMP profile, which is like the out-of-the-box overclock. So you just bung your XMP certified RAM in, and then go enable XMP, and you'll do an out-of-the-box overclock. So AMD has a similar one. It's called Expo. I can't remember what this letter's for, but the O is overclock. So with the 7800 X3D details here, we've got 32 gig of RAM, DDR5 6000 megahertz, and we've got Expo enabled. Other than that, everything is stock. So what I'll do some quick benchmarks now with Expo on, because all I'm going to do is do the benchmarks, swap the chip over, and then do the benchmarks again. I've flashed the BIOS to the latest version as well. Quite important because there's been a number of updates, and depending on when you bought your motherboard, it might not even support Zen 9, the 9000 series CPUs. So it's best to do a BIOS flash with a chip in. If not, you have to put it on a USB stick, but it's just easy. But anyway, I've done all that, so we should be good on that front. Okay, nothing's changed. Let's boot up Windows. That's going on. We'll go back to this shot. The other thing I've got some alcohol to clean off the paste from the air cooler, the Noctua, and some MX6 paste. Question: do you know complicated math algorithms? I used to do some engineering. I do software engineering now, but I don't really do the math side anymore. Here's a question. Whilst I get stuff set up. Is anyone upgrading to the 5000 series? So this is the 5090 chart, and all of these have got DLSS on, which I don't really care about. This is a 5090 versus 4090 comparison in Far Cry 6 with DLSS off, and it doesn't look that much. That looks about 25% at the bar. So I'm guessing it's about 25% raw performance gain. But obviously that's just one game. It's going to vary game to game. And also keep in mind some games are quite CPU dependent. So iRacing, for example, the biggest bottleneck for that, when I benchmarked it last time, 3090 to 4090, it didn't make that much difference upgrading to the 4090 because I was CPU bottlenecked. I don't have an update on I don't have a license for iRacing. I've not renewed my subscription, so I can't test that yet. But I might do a short one just to do some benchmarks when I get the 5090, because I believe the game engine's had some improvements since I last played it. And the other thing for the 5090, what's of interest to me, it's the extra VRAM. So it's going to have 32 instead of 24, and it'll have 3 video encoders. So I use my my gaming PC for video editing and also for video photography, just as a hobby. So I've got another channel, which there should be a link for on this channel, for Ham360. So I do some VR content, so 3D video or stereoscopic video and 360 video. So the extra horsepower for just video editing will be useful. And obviously for VR. So anyway, log in. I may be coming and going because I might get myself some caffeine in a second. Actually, I'll probably kick off the benchmarks. That would be a good idea. Do the Time Spy one. That takes a couple of minutes to run and gives you something to look at. Okay. It's like your kung fu, but I forgot a lot, but to retain the practical stuff. Right. First up, let's get Time Spy Extreme. So 3D Mark is free, but for the Extreme benchmark you have to pay for that one, but it's worth it because it's 4K resolution testing, which is more indicative for VR. Up. I'll get the camera pointed at power supply, so you can see how many watts we're pulling on this current setup, which is the 7800 X3D. I should put a little thing up saying this is 7800. This camera now. Hold on. That's still readable. Right. Benchmarks. Time Spy Extreme. The graphic test 1, 2, and CPU. I'll run them all so we get a final score. So I'll do the GPU test at the start, and I'll do CPU after that. Text on, shouldn't I? So we know we're benchmarking the 7800. What I'll do chapter markers as well for the string that people want to watch this back later, so you can see the comparison between the two CPUs. I'm recording it as well, so I could always make a very much shorter video at the end if needs be. So pushing almost 600 watts, 577 with this setup, which is not too bad really. Alright, back in a minute. I'm going to grab myself a drink. Actually, I'll leave the chill music on, because I don't know if that music's copyright. Probably is. still growing, hasn't crashed. It's good news. That's, yeah, total system draw. So that's the from the wall basically. So from the PSU. So I believe it is. Oh, it's 7800 X3D.79. Type in my so completely separate streaming PC with capture card, so it won't affect what you're seeing now. Currently got 4090, but I'm hoping to upgrade to a 5090. So that's why I'm swapping from the 7800 to the 9800, just to give me the best possible performance boost, and also I'll get good money for the 7800 3D still. It's actually gone up in value since I bought it almost 2 years ago, so I've had it for a while. So I thought, for the sake of about £100 upgrade difference, I can eBay that one and swap this in. What I should do is update the stream info with my current spec. Just for the reminder. The motherboard, I'll put that in there, that I'm using is a cheap one. It's the ASUS PB? No, P650. Oh, B650 Plus. Again, I only paid like £100 for that as well. It's been good. Supports up to the higher wattage 175 CPUs, but I don't need one. And it's PCIe Gen 5, which the 5090 will be. So are we on the CPU test? I think we are now. So this is really going to be the bit of interest. The GPU test shouldn't really make much difference, but it'll give us a score as well. And then after this I'll do F124, because that's got a quite neat benchmark built in, and a quick run of DCS. Okay, so for overall reference, nothing overclocked other than the Expo profile, which is enabled, and this is our score. So 13,953. Graphics score 18641, and CPU score, this is the bit to remember for when we do the CPU swap, is 5754. do we get a chart of the CPU temperature on here? Yeah, so the green one, can you see this? I'm sure you can actually see this now. Wait. Blue is, green is CPU, so it's the last, you see the end as the CPU graphics test. So we peak at 74.5 currently with the Noctua air cooler on it. So let's see what we peak at when we swap it over. Apparently it should be more, it's a bit more thermally efficient, so maybe it won't get so hot, but that's not bad for an air cooler. Alright, Simon, thanks for popping by. Yep, I'll put bookmarks, chapter markers for each of these bits, so you'll be able to fast forward to the relevant bit whilst we get the results of each test. I think that's about it. You can compare results online, which is pretty cool. I think it tells you where you are, better than 85% of all results. I think it should say the average score for my setup somewhere, because I think mine's slightly below the average. Oh, there we go. So the average is 14,467, so it's probably skewed a bit by people who've got heavy overclocks on their GPUs as well, and potentially CPUs. Right, next, F124, quick benchmark on that. Enable the NVIDIA overlay and enable the logging in case we need some charts later. Okay, so I'm going for non-VR just because I don't have the headset set up, and actually it's less likely to be GPU bound if we do it in 2D. So it'll be at 1440p ultra. Well, I'll bring up the settings in a second. Turn the overlay before I start the game. I just get to do this. Sync your F1s. Yeah. Again. Post hello. Hello. Good evening. Welcome to the stream. So, if you've just joined, we're doing a couple of benchmarks before we swap the chip over. So we've got a point of reference to go, oh, it's done something, or not. So I think we know, yes, it will be. But the question is, on my setup, how much more will it be better? Will it be cooler? Will it install correctly without any stutters, that kind of stuff? And then what I'll probably do later in the week is some VR benchmarks again with the 4090 on the 9800X3D installed, and then we'll have a baseline to compare it to when I get the 5090. So you'll be able to see, if you've got 7800X3D and you've got 4090, you'll be able to see the upgrade differences of the CPU and the GPU, whether it's worth it. So, oh, this game's taking so long to load. Must have online server issues. So we'll do this one and probably DCS. Oh yeah, be Pimax Crystal. So I'm hoping with both this new CPU and the 5090, I'll be able to hit 120 Hz in more games. Because at the minute you can sort of get to 120 Hz if you lower the graphic detail down and the res down a little bit, or use the upscaler if the game has it. If not, use the OpenXR toolkit. And also WRC. I want to play more of WRC, but it runs so badly at the minute. I'm hoping the extra hardware will make it run better with better graphics. I mean, it'll run, but it just doesn't look very good. So I'm hoping with a bit more CPU grunt and GPU grunt, we'll be able to get the game looking nice in VR. What do you think to the 50 expect? So, as I said at the start of the stream, it looks like the raw performance, if you exclude the fake frame nonsense, it's going to be about 25 to 30% raw rasterization power, which isn't a lot. I think the 3090 to 4090 we had a massive jump in raw power, but the thing is, if DLSS 4.0 gets implemented for VR games, so we'll see F125 this year. So each year they've always included DLSS recently, and it's usually been the latest version. So if DLSS 4.0 looks good in VR, then it'll be worth it. But to date, DLSS in VR, like 3.0 and 3.5, it just doesn't look great. The finer details in the distance get lost. But still, 30%. If we get 30%, 30% increase on 90 Hz, it takes you to 120. So that's enough to run at 120. Yeah. So DLS 4.0 is a quality improvement. Forget the multi-frame generation stuff. That's not going to be compatible with VR for a long time. Theoretically, you could use it for motion smoothing, but forgetting that, DLSS is in a lot of these games in VR mode. So if DLSS 4.0 is added to games and the quality is better, then it might be usable. Right, let's get this benchmark going without me waffling. Sim racing, you're pretty sure you're skipping a thing because I don't do video editing and don't play flat screens. Alright, yeah, we'll see. Because the other thing is, right, sometimes DLSS on high quality mode or quality mode is usable. I never go below the quality mode because it just looks awful. In which case, you could run a higher resolution that you could otherwise and use DLSS quality mode because it's got more AI teraflops. It may actually work better for AI based VR, if you want to call it that. But we'll see. I'm happy to be the guinea pig because I'm going to use a 5090 for other stuff anyway. Right, just so you know what we're on ultra high. Video mode. So these will be the same settings that I'll use when. Can we turn that up? Alright, so 120 screen max FPS because that's what the capture card's set to. Don't know if it can render more than the screen can, but I think it gives you a frame time at the end anyway. VSync off, refresh rate auto, and we don't have any DLSS stuff. Dynamic resolution's off, so that looks all good to me. Okay, the other thing I want to do is here, statistics, start logging. Run the benchmark. Okay, 150 watts. See what it goes up to. So turned on the NVIDIA counter info at the top, so it's the 1% lows we want to watch. That's going to be the other benefit of a 5090, an upgraded CPU. Hopefully the 1% lows should be higher on a better spec machine, because they're the things that can ruin the immersion if you get the odd stutter. Oh, things over the info, isn't it? Go. Also covering the official FPS, which is annoying. Might have to rerun this again. Oh, there you go. Okay, so the official FPS is pretty much in line with the NVIDIA one, so. Okay, so there's our summary. The minimum frame time 5.71, average 6.98 milliseconds, and the maximum, so that's our lows, are 9.67. So hopefully when we swap CPU over, those will improve. I can tell you the version of F1 in here. Don't know what build, I mean. It does on the splash screen. So we've got the latest NVIDIA drivers as well. I updated all of the CPU chipset, the motherboard chipset drivers. Alright. I think the next one I want to do quickly before we start unplugging things is DCS. I hadn't played this for ages. There's been quite a lot of updates. The launch is totally different. A lot of people always want DCS benchmarking info between CPUs. Enough to justify the price difference. Yeah, I think it also depends when you bought your 4090. Because I mean, I got mine at launch, so I feel like I've had 2 years use of it. So if I get good money for it, which they seem to be selling at a good price at the minute still, I'll be looking at about £600 upgrade. Plus I'll get the use of it for video editing and things. So, but it is a flagship product, so expect to have to fork out big money. I think the 4090 will still. I think the 4090 is going to sit between the 5080 and the 5090 performance-wise, because the spec looks in the middle. But we'll get the official benchmarks. Well, reviewer benchmarks, should I say, on the 24th, which is a few days before the launch, which is quite interesting. Because normally they don't give you those. We don't start seeing those until launch day. And out of all the cards, I'll probably go for another full screen again. I've been really happy with the ASUS TUF. This one. It was a lot cheaper than the Strix one, and the cooling's been great. And it's got a switch for dual BIOS here, so you can have it in either quiet mode or normal mode, which I'm not bothered about. The useful thing is if it's dual BIOS, you can flash one of the BIOSes. So a lot of people, they got this cheaper model, and on the silent BIOS, they flash the Strix VBIOS on it. So you essentially could clock it up to the same as you could as the Strix card. I don't know if you'll have to get away with the same on the it's not called the Strix now, it's going to be the ASUS Astral. And there, see that gap here? The Astral's got another fan just to push air up there, which I don't really need it, I don't care. This has been fine, this has always run cool anyway. So I'm going to go for another TUF one, if the price is good, which it was last time, so we'll see. Anyway, get back there to our low-tech power consumption screen. Right. Launch DCS. You want the software getting get hands on the MSR at the time. Looking forward to see the graphics. Kunos new V. Oh yeah, yeah. That's something worth streaming, isn't it? It's a reminder. It's only I mean, it was surprising. It's launching with single player only. I think there's no multiplayer at launch. I think it's a bit strange, but still, I'll give it a go. Replay. It's this A10 test that I've used before for VR. So get that going. I'll start the logging. Time already. It has to get quicker. Midnight soon. Right. Fly. Bit of sound. You see this track was recorded from VR, you see all the head movement. Single player only. VR triple support at launch, 20 cars, 5 tracks. I think the game will include 1 to 2 years from now. Yeah, hopefully if it gets similar kind of support from the modding community. What's interesting, I'm just looking now, that this game doesn't draw that much power. They're only at 400 watts. Well, others are like pulling 577. CPU's hitting 60, so we might be CPU bottlenecked. Otherwise, I'd expect a lot more power usage. Let's see, 345 watts. This is the VR high preset, 1440p. Okay, well, just going to see how this bench is afterwards. Our lows, 105, 104, 1% lows, 92. So this will be the last benchmark before we pull the CPU out. Can't get your hands on 9800 X3D in Canada, do you? No, actually. Not right now. December time, I think they were a little hard to get hold of. So there's basically two main suppliers in the UK, really. Well, I think there's maybe one or two more. Okay. So we got Scan. What's the other one? Overclockers. So Scan and Overclockers, and that's where I usually order my GPUs from. Amazon sometimes have them, but they're usually fulfilled by lots of smaller independent stores, rather than having to sell direct from them initially. But I actually got this one through Amazon UK, but it's fulfilled by Scan, and it was cheaper to buy it via Amazon than to buy it direct from Scan, which is interesting. Plus, I had a bit of gift certificate money to use up. So this will be after I've sold my 7800 X3D, which I should get more. It's gone up by £25 since I bought it almost 2 years ago. So it'll be a very cheap upgrade. Do I prefer it? I'm going to say yes, but we'll see. It could be some strange anomaly that 7800's quicker than the 9800, but so this is still this is the last benchmark now. So we're going to swap the CPUs over, and then do those 3 benchmarks again. So 3D Mark, Time Spy, Extreme, F124 again, and then we'll run this benchmark. And actually, need to stop the logging. Go. So, if you want some more data or more benchmarks, where is it? Here's a link to Hardware Unboxed. He did a load of 2D benchmarks, and he compares the 7800 and 9800 specifically on a bunch of tiles. So at that timestamp, it gives you a breakdown. So on average, the 9800X3D is about 11% better, but in some cases 20% better. I want to say better, faster performing in his FPS benchmarks. And games like ACC, I think it's about 15%, which is works well with the 3D cache. And power-wise, it's going to be a little bit more efficient. And because they've moved the 3D cache that used to be on top of the die to underneath it now, it's less sensitive to heat, extreme heat. So you can, in theory, overclock it, but I'm not going to bother, other than the out-of-the-box Expo profile overclocks. Right, I think that's it. Exit out of that. I'll go for the big camera. Let's use the shaky cam as we get set up. So this camera could do with being a bit of a wider angle, but it's not, unfortunately. It's a little webcam. Just stare over there for a minute. Make some space. Using AIO for... No. So I've had AIOs in the past and the pumps have gone on them. So I'm just using... I've gone back to a Noctua, which I've used on other builds. And it's been really great. Because the X3D chips don't clock that high, they don't get that hot. So air cooling is perfectly fine. Admittedly, this is like the biggest Noctua. But yeah, I've gone for reliability over overclocking and flashy lights and stuff. So this has been super robust. Been very happy with this setup. I call it the Millennium Falcon build because it looks pretty ugly, but it performs. And this case I've had probably 10 years now. So keep it simple, function over form. Alright, let's power this puppy down. Yeah, exactly. NXT 15. I think it's the 15. It's the biggest one. I think they're doing a revised version of it soon. Because I think for some of the newer Intels, it doesn't quite fit. But for the 3D chips, you don't need a big cooler. That's the great thing about them. The performance is from the 3D cache. Text to speech on so I can hear as I'm leaning over stuff. Case of remembering which cable goes where. Yeah, 4070 Super, good card. I think 4070 and up, good. The 4060, not so much. gimped it with the memory bus. So I've actually got a 4070 in the, not a super, just a 4070 normal in the streaming PC, just so I could get the NVIDIA broadcast working, so I could get rid of my green screen that's tying up space. Right, turn that off because we're not 7800 now. We're going for the upgrade. Where's the best angle? Just need a bit more light. This bit is going to be a bit boring, I think, for a lot of people now, so fiddling around. That was light. I can't even remember how. Probably need to set GPU out. I think I'll do that anyway, just so I can see what I'm actually doing. So I do have a GPU stand for the big boy. See that? Where you get motion set. What's your case? It's an old Corsair, I think it's Obsidian 750 or something. I did look up upgrading it, but I have two matching, so I got two. So I got this one here, and then below it is twin brother for the streaming PC. So they kind of match. Well, they do match, they're exactly the same. So it's like, well, if I swap this for something else, then they don't match. And also, it's been great for air cooling. Yeah, it is quite dated by today's standards, but as I was saying earlier, this is the Millennium Falcon build. May not be much to look at, but it's got it where it counts. With a longer Phillips screwdriver, really. magnetic screwdriver. So this is how many slots? Triple slot. I think some of the 5090s are almost quad slot, aren't they? I think the Zotac one is a behemoth, as is the ASUS Astral. Push down here to get the card out. With my longer screwdriver. My other case, it's easier. It's got a push button on my Intel motherboard. The one on my Intel's a ASUS ROG Hero. So these kind of boards, you've got to get a screwdriver down to push that lever down, where my other one's got a nice push button release. I don't know if they're carrying on with that design. You see that? What size PSU will you need? So on a 4080 or 4090? So I think officially for the 4090 they recommended 850 watts. Which is what I had before, but this is a 1200 watt. I've swapped from the streaming PC because the streaming PC had an Intel 12900K and the Intels suck a lot more juice than the AMD ones. So I think the highest I've seen this got to is about 600 watts on full load with the 7800X3D and a 4090. But the reason I've swapped it is because I plan to get the 5090 at launch, which is a 600 watt card, and the recommendation for that is 1000 watt minimum. So that's why I've swapped them over the other day. It's a better angle. Hang on. Bear with me. I'll try and get a good view. You can see what I'm doing. Far away though. Let's move a bracket. I've got a different tripod. I'll take the webcam off. That's not too bad, is it? Not viewable. Ghetto stream. Passable, I think. That bit over there you can sort of see a little. There. Right, now I have to remember how I installed this flipping thing now. I think take the fans off. I don't need to take them fully off. I don't need to undo them from the motherboard. Just need to unclip them and remember which way to come off. Because this one, because of clearance on the DDR5 RAM, it needs to stick up a little bit, which is fine. It's got enough clearance. That's the other thing with this case, because it's so big, you get a bit more freedom with some of these parts. I think it's just a case of undoing them screws next. No, you can't see, can you? Those screws. That one and that one. Try not to make you throw up. I do have a longer Phillips screwdriver somewhere, I just don't know where to put it. Anyone in the UK that wants a 7800 X3D chip? Join my Discord. Never been overclocked. I think one of my friends, Kev, was going to buy it. So he may have first dibs, but if I can avoid selling on eBay, I will do. There we go. This is the old paste. Gonna clean this off. The old alcohol. And get in there. Swap it over. I will be back. I don't have time. Come to midnight. Right. I'm back. Is the i7-14700K a good processor? That's what mine came with. Yeah. As long as you don't have any overheating problems, it's fine. In fact, it's probably better for if you stream and game on the same PC because it's got more cores. So it's similar architecture to the 12900K I've got. So you have the performance cores and efficiency cores. Another thing you want to make sure is, depending on what operating system you're running on, I presume you're on Windows 11, but for VR, I still run most stuff on Windows 10. But when you do that, it doesn't have as good a core management as Windows 11, so I use Process Lasso to make sure the game runs on the performance cores. And also the power profile ensures the cores don't park. You can get this thing where certain power plans, the cores go to sleep. And if you play a game and need to use them, there's a bit of latency where you can unparking the core. Wiping the old paste off, which is a bit crusty actually. Wipe that down with the alcohol in a minute. Yeah, but if he's got the Intel processor, I'd go for an 850. I think the recommended, for the 4090 recommended PSU, I'm sure it said on the website for 850. Also depends how many peripherals you've got. So if you've got like lots of SATA drives and other USB cards and stuff. Okay, time to get this out. Get that lever. I need a separate mount, I think, so you can see. It's a two-handed job there. Down and towards me on this one. I keep getting the angle. So the arrow is the top left corner. A little position arrow. Light up. Oh, direction arrow. I'm going to strap it to the I've got a clamp, and I can bend it over so you can see what I'm doing, because at the minute the camera's probably making everyone want to vomit. If you've got a 4070 now, I'd wait for a while, because with any luck you'll see a load of 4090s come on the used market, and that'll be the upgrade if you want a reasonably priced upgrade to go for, in my opinion, of course. The other option, if you want 4080 level performance, which I don't think is worth the upgrade if you've got 4070, you've got the AMD GPUs, but 5090 is better for 4K and VR. Steam, so you don't feel so sick as I spin the camera out. Need to twist it onto this tripod. Better. There was light. Too much light. There's the packaging for my old one. Pins don't get locked. Don't touch them pins. That's 700, is that going to focus? Focus. I'm too close for this little webcam. Clean this up, put it back in its package, and that could be on eBay or any bidders that are watching in the UK. Not shipping it abroad. Yeah, I agree. Reduce the friction and get into gaming as fast as possible. I've been doing quite a bit of 2D gaming actually. Just playing an FPS game called Valorant with one of my friends, Bearded Bob, who does mice modding. So if anyone's into FPS gaming, check out his YouTube channel, Bearded Bob. And he's on Twitch Fridays. I often play alongside, but I don't stream it. Just because if I had like a long day, it's just instantly on, just turn it on, play. So the old one, so I've just taken out now, is a 7800 X3D. Oh, I need to turn it around. It's upside down at the minute. 7800. So I've gone from a 7800 to a 9800. But I got this at launch at a good price. So you've got it all set up. So what software are you using? What's the automation language you're talking about? Putting this back in the package, right? Yeah, you will be in certain games. Like DCS, you probably are in some certain scenarios. Also, it depends what graphics settings. So people always assume GPU is resolution and that's it, and graphics quality. But see, some graphic effects are CPU bound, and things like sound quality, like in F124. And what else? iRacing. That's notorious for being CPU bound. Well, I've not played iRacing recently, so I don't know if they've made it any better. There we go. It's now the right way up in the box. So out with the 7800, in with the 9800. Yeah, what I was saying, it varies game to game which graphical settings affect CPU. So take a set corsa competizione, for example. If you increase the number of visible cars, yes, there's a when you add more cars, yes, there's more a GPU increase because it's having to render more cars, but it's not that much. And unless you like right next to it at the start of the grid. But what you'll find is you get in that game, you get CPU bound with more cars on before you're GPU bound. And I think WRC, some of the settings, I can't remember which ones they are now. I think it's like the internal reflections, kind of dependent on CPU. There we get a sticker. So I think that the die, correct me if I'm wrong, someone, the die shrunk for this from, I think it's 5 nanometer to 4. But I believe the memory controller is the same. It's the 7800. Good, no pins are bent. Drop it in there, corner to corner. That little corner there matches that one. That's picked up on the camera, probably not. But take my word for it, there's a little triangle there. Make sure those line up. And then voila. Bit of that alcohol, get my finger grease off the top of it. It's just essentially a drying agent. So no grease. We use Q-tips, little cotton buds for that bit, and I'll do the same on the heatsink. Where's that gone? There's Chonga here. So see, it's got paste on, so we're going to get that residual paste off. And then we'll quickly turn it on, and hopefully it's happy days and it all just works. Now, I did forget to put the BIOS back to low defaults, but I did, when I did the BIOS flash, load low defaults before and after, and the only thing I've turned on is Expo. It's the RAM timing, so I might want to turn it on or low defaults again, restart, then enable Expo, just in case. Should have really done it before I powered off, but I forgot. Nice and shiny now. Am I going for the 5090? What do I? If you're asking me, yes, that's the plan. It's part of the reason why I'm swapping this chip over. But I mean, I'm going to see what the reviewer benchmarks come out on the 24th. But in all likelihood, I'll upgrade anyway. Even for the video, I mean, just the video editing capabilities. It's got 3 encoders instead of 2 NVENC encoders, so it should rip through video encoding tasks. Bit more VRAM 32 gigs, and the AI effects and stuff should be a lot quicker. The AI video processing tasks. And I'm hoping for about 30%, up to 30% raw rasterization bump. But we shall see, won't we? I plan to do some VR benchmarks with the 4090 with this CPU in. So pretty much top tier gaming CPU now. And then when I get a 5090, benchmark the same games in VR. I did it last time when I went from the 3090 to 4090, just so people can decide whether it's worth it for their game. A lot of people that play in VR, usually they've got powerful rigs anyway and they've bought a headset. So it's like, do they want to sell off their 4090 and get a 5090? Is it worth it? And last time for iRacing it wasn't because of the CPU bottleneck, but I'll have to renew my subscription to test it unless I can do it without one. Right, how shall I time to put the paste on? Shall I go for a 5 dot across a line? I'm thinking 5 dot. Various videos on this, and it probably doesn't matter too much as long as you don't put not enough. If you go over, obviously you don't want to go onto the capacitors and stuff on the side if you can, but even then it's not end of the world. You can get like a little like template you put over the top, and then you can smooth it out, which I might do now actually. You can just shove the heatsink on. Tell you what, we'll go for broke, we'll just shove it on and then see what our temperature's like. And if it's not good enough, I can always repaste it another day. Pressure, squish it down. So was there a certain way around? Just checking it's symmetrical. I don't think it matters which way round we go. I couldn't remember. Someone's got this it's Noctua cooler. I didn't. Screws, you need to give them a little pressure before they bite. Push harder. So much easier just unscrewing these than screwing them back in. Not the wrong way around or something, but well, it's good coverage of pace, and ideally you don't want to take it off like I've just done and put it back on because of air pockets. But in order to get this going for the stream, it relates to your PC. Yeah. Time is it? 20 past. I was hoping I could get this on quick and then do the benchmarks and get it over and done with. Notice this has been a long spit just trying to reattach the heatsink. Okay, I think that's gripped. Well, yeah, okay, good. You don't want to give too much pressure because you don't want to crush the bleeding. Feel a little bit, but not too tight. Yeah, feels fairly firm. Right, in business. On with the fans. Oh, we should be good to go. Is that the bottom? That way around. Slightly offset. There we go. Right, GPU back in. He's to the finish. The big boy. Well, technically I didn't need to take it out. So it made my life easier doing so, for sure. Right. I'm going to place bets on whether this puppy posts. This is what a newer case might be better. Getting these screws back in. Apparently I think it's just a pain last time. It's lined up. Just get screwed up. Now with the one GPU screw for the minute, and the bracket, in case it's not in properly, as in the CPU isn't in. Brace back up. seated correctly. Oh, no. Going up in flames. Something that the newer cards, the 5090, I think the pins are slightly offset, and I think on the Zotac it's got like a warning light if you've not pushed the power cable in enough to avoid that problem they had at launch. It's good. Okay, swap the camera around. Cables back in. Power. Idles 20 watts more. I think we idled at 125 on boot. Maybe it'll sell down. No image yet. Takes a little while for the BIOS to appear. Yeah, it's the old ASUS Thor. So it gets a little display on it. I got it for my old Intel setup in case I needed to power a 12900K and a 4090 or something and overclock and just future expansion. But that then became the 12900K became the streaming PC, and the I got a 7800 X3D, which I've just taken out as the game PC, so it didn't need such a powerful power supply. So I switched them back over. Let me. This is another thing. So I'm trying to put the BIOS screen through the capture card, and it doesn't always detect the HDMI feed. So I'm hoping that's the case. That's the case. Tell you what, if I plug in the display port, then I can see if I've got an image. Computer. GPU installed. Change. Press Y to reset. Okay, okay, yes. Oh, helps if I plug the keyboard in as well. Looking good. It's not an error. Thing. Please enter. Right. Yeah. F2. Or delete. Oh, press F1. Kind of annoying. I was hoping to get this on the capture card, but defaults. Yes. Power's dropped now to 85 watts. It's a bit better. Okay. Ding. To re-authenticate Windows, it's detected a new CPU ID. I think good hardware-wise. I'm just struggling to log into Windows now. Can I put the network cable in? Check that. Be an issue. Won't be annoying if I can't log in. Done the hardware part right. It's got a Windows issue. We'll see. Password reset time. Trouble of using Microsoft accounts instead of local accounts. do a reboot. Obviously not showing you this stuff because it's got my different account details. Yay, I'm in. Right. Don't know what was going on there. Seems to work. I'll do a reboot, see if I can get to the BIOS now. Show you the BIOS. I couldn't log back in for some reason. I think it's because the network cable maybe wasn't fully pushed in, and I was using a Microsoft account. And it was like, no, don't know who you are, wrong password, whatever. But we're in. So that'll have to be another marker for the replay. It took a little bit longer than I expected to just plug it in, but 9800 X3D Expo is disabled, so we'll go to advanced mode. We'll turn that back on because we did a reset to defaults. AI tweaker, and then we're going to go Expo 1. That's what works with the 7800 X3D. And then I'll need to find the setting for the onboard video. Turn that off because I don't use it. I just never remember where it's on. So onboard audio, network card. CPU configuration. Primary video. Yes. Oh, this is MB configuration. Integrated graphics. Turn that off. Tools. User profile. Not applicable. Alright, so that was my old profile. Obviously saying not applicable because it's a different CPU. So what we're going to call that. It's P uppercase 1 for Expo 1. It off. So you can quickly switch between default and video off and Expo on. To yes. Actually, before that, let's just check, see what our easy mode, what temperatures are at. So overall temperature 30, and CPU is a very chilly 33. So I think we're good with the repaste we did. That's a bit cooler than it was before. And that's just saying what has changed. I'll have to see if this works. Hope it will. It's a different CPU, so there's no guarantee the out of the box Expo 1 will work. Sometimes it doesn't. Open up, logging in, switch screens. Change our title. Now the 9800 got sold. Time is it? Coming up to 1. So hopefully we can get these benchmarks done, dusted, then we're good. We've been going for 2 hours. It's too bad for doing a bunch of benchmarks, swapping out a CPU. An amber light on the motherboard. I hope it's just doing a memory test. Give it a minute or so. If not, we might need to reset the BIOS back to default again. hopefully we are in business to benchmark. So, a variety of cores, going from 4.7 to 5.2, so that's what this should boost to. Memory showing at 3000 megahertz because it's DDR webcam. It shows us 3000, so 2 times 3000 because there are 6000. Not sure why it required another restart after changing Expo, but it got there in the end. So let's see if our 3D Mark runs. It may crash, don't know, because we've got Expo enabled. This. A bit behind schedule, but we're getting there. I was going to say, I think we peaked at 575 watts last time. Seem a bit lower on wattage. Next onto the CPU test now. If it's going to crash because of the memory overclock, it'll be new. Results are in. So our score has gone up. So last time with the 7800 X3D we scored 13953. So not a massive jump, but obviously it's combined with the graphics. So graphics has pretty much remained where it is, which is expected. So previously it was 18641 and now it's 18628, so it's actually gone down a teeny bit. Well, it's just run to run differences and everything else. Anyway, I've got CPU score previously that was 5754. We've now jumped up to 7299. Look down here. Different runs. Which one's the CPU run is the last one? And temperature wise, I think we've gone a bit hotter. So we've hit 84 degrees at one point, but I don't think that's enough to throttle it. It drops off. Whereas before, I think the highest was 76. Let's look back in the video. So that's quite a jump in heat. Obviously, it's probably clock boosting higher. So, what does it say? CPU clock frequency, yeah, it's going up to 5.2. As before, I think we've just boosted to 5. Well, it's less than that actually. But anyway, it's worked, and it's a bigger number, so the synthetic benchmark looks like it's good. So we'll quickly rerun the F124 benchmark. Turn our overlay back on. Over stream, I'll just find the bit where I benchmark this and get to the results page. The only slightly annoying thing with the benchmark in this game, I mean it's useful that it has one, but when it runs it, it's not identical to the benchmark it ran before. It's like you're in a different car. So there will be tiny run-to-run differences, but it should all be the same now. Oh, the resolution's changed. Where have they gone? Okay. Maybe asleep. Oh yeah, I overrun a little bit. Probably about an hour over. How you doing, Link? Bring up the should be quality. Sorry, TAA only. Yeah. Run generation off. Resolution off. Back. Changes. That's back to what it was. Don't know why it changed itself. Just waking up from a long nap. Hey. Hi. Logging. The 1% lows instantly look higher, I think. Hard to tell. I'll have to wait for it to finish. Look at the end result. What I might do at the very end is just run the Cinebench Multicore benchmark to make sure it's within what's expected, and then we're good. But 3D Mark Time Spike Extreme definitely showed a boost. And there's no crashes yet, which is all good. Then we're done. I'll run the quickly rerun the DCS replay track. More performance is nice. On average 10%, with some games up to 20%. So I think ACC is like another 15% boost in FPS. But the main thing is that it's the 1% lows should be better. and they're the things that can bring you out of the magic refresh rate. So Space Warp would kick in, so that's the bigger advantage. Okay. So what was our... I'll try and find in the stream where it was before. Okay, so let's take a pinch of salt because there's a slight variation in the F124 benchmarks run to run because it puts you in a different car. But saying that, minimum FPS was 104. Previously it was 103, so there's not much difference there. Average FPS is 143. This is 146. Maximum FPS is 175. This is 182 now. Minimum frame time 5.47 is minimum frame time 5.71. So that's better. Average frame time 6.82, where average frame time 6.98. So there's not much in it. Maximum frame time 9.53, and the maximum frame time before was 9.67. So yeah, it's got better. Did either of us guys try to run a virtual desktop while the USB can't convert by any chance? No, I've not used virtual desktop for ages. Has it had a update to support play over Ethernet? Has it? I thought it was Wi-Fi only, but I've not looked at it in a while. Down. Set up to see your steering wheel mix rally across 3. Username. It's funny that my actual monitor is there now, which works with this scene. Enable the NVIDIA OSD and NVIDIA settings, you get a better benchmark. Possibly. Yeah, with overlay off. But I just wanted a copy of all the frame data to look at later. So I had it on for both, so it's consistent. Before and after, I mean. Password. Hey, that you go. Remember password. Click remember. It never remembers. Does the remember password button ever work? Ever? Come on. Passwords today. Right. Found it. DCS. Yeah, Link did it at the start of the stream. Covered the 5000 series, and that the 5090 benchmarks will be out on the 24th of January. It's when the reviewers will be able to release their benchmarks, which is earlier than normal. They normally, I think last time the benchmarks came out on sales day, you know, or the day before they were available to buy or pre-order. Right. Check the settings here have changed or not. Still be on that. Say presets. Click high. That's what it was before. Okay. Default high. Replay. Oh, the logging. Oh, we're off. So for this one, I'll have to look at the replays back to back to see how they differ. I won't do that today, but people can go to the points in the stream, run them side by side if they like. Still up in the air to get 50 cent to replace your 30 cent. Probably no point. Unless you're going to play 2D games and you want them multi-frame gen. Yeah, I don't see any major advantage really. It'll be a bit quicker, and it'll be a lot quicker with multi-frame gen. But for VR purposes, it'll be, I don't know how much quicker it'll be. It's obviously 2 generations up, but it's a TI versus a non-TI. What I'll do last is Cinebench 2024 Multicore and see what kind of score I get. Make sure it's in the ballpark of what it should be. 12 gig of VRAM. This is 8U. Oh, it's good, but I mean, it depends what, because you've got your main gaming rig, which is a 4090. So would it be for just 2D gaming at what, 1080p or 1440p somewhere? So didn't you have some other 4000 series cards? We had a 4070 as well for some reason. I guess if you do a lot of 2D gaming not on your main rig, it might be worth it. Titles in your bedroom. Well, what you should do for VR titles, if you want to play VR in your bedroom, just to use a virtual desktop and have a Wi-Fi router in your bedroom. So it'd still be running off your 4090 Voltron in a different room. Just as long as you're near to a Wi-Fi 6E router, you'll be fine. Almost done. I want to get this benchmark stuff installed on tonight, because I won't have time tomorrow night. Stop the logging. Stop the FPS count. Done. Close. Cancel. So if you want to compare that run much earlier in the stream, like about how long ago? 2 hours in, 2 hours back, so an hour in, the DCS run on the old CPU. So we'll look at the difference in FPS and low 1% and stuff. Right. Gonna look at Cinebench 2024. Your desktop is kind of taxing. It's probably just your router setup. Are the idle temps higher or lower? Not sure. I think they're about the same on idle. It's the same 120 watt TDP, but this peaks higher because it goes to 5.2 gigahertz, so it boosts higher. Right, doing Cinebench. Just on the default GPU clock. Turn the overlay off now because I don't need it for Cinebench. It's just the two games I did the logging. Use the logging from NVIDIA. So if I was running. Steam. Idle 50. That's about the same as it was before. So idle looks about the same. 45. When I booted it up and went to BIOS, it was like 30. But obviously it'd been off for a bit. Multicore. MS on the 3D Mark CPU test. Is that a separate one? Because on the 3D Mark Extreme test, there's a CPU section. But let's run this, check we don't crash. It's more of a stability test than anything. Bring up hardware info or see what. There you go, I was going to say updating 73. The cores are boosted to 5.2. say minimum maximum because I've started this whilst the benchmark was running. Average 83, so it's a little warmer. AMD is now better for gaming than AMD after. You mean Intel's better? You're still there, Link. Have a look at this section of hardware unboxed video comparing the 7800 X3D to the 9800 X3D. It lists like the average FPS difference between the two. So a set of course competizione, which is quite CPU intensive. Guess what? 15% boost. So, yeah, this. Assuming I managed to eBay my 7800 X3D for a good price, this is quite a cheap upgrade because I got a good deal with this on Amazon. And the 7800 X3D, which I checked, I got this in April 2023, so it's almost 2 years old. It's actually gone up in value since I bought it. So hopefully this upgrade was only like 100 quid. Once I sell it. So. CPU die average 82 degrees. I'll look at maximum core temp. Those 86s are quite high, but I am air cooled. I don't want to go much higher than that, but this is probably as intensive a workload as I'm going to do. I suspect only thermal throttles like over 90. So I shouldn't be losing any performance. Yeah, that's right, Link. It's 1080p, so 4K would be less, but the main thing's the 1% lows, and they're not 1% lows. Those can still be a benefit to 4K. Or, you know, VR at higher resolution, so it should smooth out the experience. Everything seems to be running all right. No crashes yet. So I think we're good. And our score, I mean, it's still running, but we're on 1259. 1262, and I think hardware unboxed. What were they getting on their multi-core score? 1384. Those are a bit higher, but mine's not finished yet, and I've been doing other stuff. The multi-core score for the 7800 X3D was 1084, and this is 1274 at the minute. So everything is up. Just have to wait for these tiles to finish rendering. But yeah, 2 minutes 44 to go. Then the score will be finished. That's up here. Close it up and go to bed. I'm at 1300 points now. Seconds. Are you gonna finish? I'm gonna check out AC Evo. Yeah. Late this week, is it? Or is it Thursday? January 16th. I'm going to stop it, but we're on 1300 points on the multi-core score. And I think Hardware Unboxed got 1380. So they probably had slightly faster RAM or something. That's a ballpark. Yeah, they have Hardware Unboxed had 1384. I got 1300. And the 7800 X3D scored 1084. So that's about 30% increase on multi-core performance. It's alright. Cool. So it's working. It's installed, ready for if we get the 5090. So yeah, seems alright so far. The proof in the pudding will be trying out some more VR stuff. So like ACC, I should be able to add a few more CPU visible cars, which is quite CPU demanding, so we should be less CPU bound now. So yeah, alright, that was it. That was the install. So if I do get a 5090, I'll probably do a bunch of benchmarks before and after with 4090 with this CPU installed. If it's of some value to someone. And yeah, thanks for tuning in and watching. Alright, good night everyone, till next time, bye bye. And yeah, I'll probably see you Thursday for AC Evo. We depending on what time of day that launches, if it's in the evening in the UK, I'll stream it. If not, it'll probably be Friday or Saturday. Alright, thanks everyone, good night.